The unconventional threat. Supreme Hierarch Zextroll of the Galactic Conclave stared at the holographic display with all 6 of his eyes, mandibles clicking in irritation. The small blue-green planet that had just been discovered in Sector 7 looked utterly unremarkable, a water world orbiting an average yellow star in the spiral arm of a thoroughly ordinary galaxy. And you're telling me the inhabitants of this Earth have achieved faster than light travel? Zextroll's voice carried the distinct harmonic resonance that indicated disbelief among his species. Senior Intelligence Officer Kilva adjusted her sensory membranes, the equivalent of clearing one's throat in human terms. Yes, Supreme Hierarch, though their technology is unusual. Unusual how? The Hierarch's exoskeleton shifted colors slightly, betraying his growing curiosity. They've cobbled together various technological approaches that, by all reasonable scientific standards, should not function cohesively. Their FTL drive combines gravitational manipulation with quantum tunneling in a way our engineers describe as dangerously unorthodox, yet undeniably effective. The Hierarch absorbed this information silently. The Galactic Conclave had overseen the peaceful development of interstellar civilizations for over 12,000 cycles. In that time, technological progress had followed predictable, logical patterns across all 347 known sentient species. Until now, apparently. Have we established contact? Yes, Hierarch, a diplomatic envoy led by Ambassador Thexlor, has already met with their United Earth government. Initial discussions were perplexing. The holographic display shifted to show footage of the diplomatic meeting. The humans were smaller than most conclave species, lacking natural armor, significant muscle mass, or any apparent defensive capabilities. They stood on 2 legs, had only 2 arms with primitive 5-digit manipulators, and possessed no natural weapons whatsoever. Their skin appeared soft and vulnerable, their bodies fragile. These creatures achieved space travel. The Hierarch couldn't keep the dismissive tone from his voice. With such biological limitations. That's what makes them unusual, Hierarch, Kilva responded. They've overcome their physical limitations through tool use and technological innovation at a rate that defies all established developmental models. What took the Vextari 15 generations to accomplish, humans achieved in less than 1 human lifespan. The footage continued, showing Ambassador Thexlor, an imposing figure with crystalline exoskeletal plates and advanced cybernetic enhancements, towering over the human representatives. The humans showed no signs of intimidation. If anything, their expressions suggested curiosity and excitement. They don't seem appropriately awed by their introduction to galactic society, the Hierarch observed. That's another peculiarity, Hierarch. They don't behave according to expected psychological patterns. When informed of their place as the newest and least advanced species in the conclave, they responded with something their translators called jokes, and immediately began negotiating for technological exchanges. The Hierarch's color shifted to a deep purple alarm. They asked for our technology. Such presumption. Yes, but they also offered their own innovations in return, some of which our technical advisors find intriguing. The holographic display changed again, showing schematics for various human technologies. Most appeared crude by conclave standards, but several contained novel approaches to old problems that even the conclave's brightest minds hadn't considered. Their thinking is nonlinear, Kilva explained. They make intuitive leaps that bypass established scientific progression. It's as if they don't know what should be impossible, so they try anyway, and sometimes succeed. The Hierarch considered this silently. Non-standard thinking could be dangerous. The conclave valued order, predictability, and methodical advancement. Species that developed too quickly or unpredictably often self-destructed or threatened regional stability. What of their societal structure? Their history? Kilva's sensory membranes flattened, the equivalent of a grimace. That's what prompted this emergency briefing, Hierarch. Their history is concerning. The display shifted to a timeline of human development. Unlike the smooth, gradual progression typical of conclave species, the human timeline was jagged, marked by sudden advances and equally dramatic setbacks. They've experienced multiple global conflicts, Kilva continued, wars that engulfed their entire planet. By conclave standards, they should have exterminated themselves several times over. Instead, each conflict accelerated their technological development exponentially. That defies established patterns, the hierarch murmured, all six eyes fixed on the display. Conflict should deplete resources and slow development. Not for humans. Their most significant technological leaps occurred during or immediately after their largest conflicts. Space travel, nuclear energy, advanced computing, medical breakthroughs, all products of warfare. The hierarch's exoskeleton now pulsed with bands of deep red and purple, the colors of profound concern. Are you suggesting these humans thrive on conflict? Not exactly, hierarch. They're not inherently warlike compared to, say, the Krex horde. They're capable of remarkable cooperation and empathy. But when threatened, Kilva paused, choosing her words carefully. When threatened, they transform in ways no other species does. They unify despite internal differences. They innovate at unprecedented rates, and they fight with a determination that borders on self-destruction. The display showed footage from human historical archives. Soldiers charging into seemingly hopeless battles, civilians working around the clock in factories, scientists making breakthrough discoveries under impossible deadlines and limited resources. Most species, when facing extinction, either surrender or fragment into competing groups seeking survival. Kilva observed. Humans do neither. They resist beyond the point of rational calculation. The hierarch absorbed this silently, his color gradually stabilizing into the deep blue of serious contemplation. You believe they pose a threat to the conclave? Not immediately, no. They're still technologically inferior in most respects, but their development curve is unprecedented, and more concerning is their psychological profile. They don't think like us, hierarch. Their decision-making processes don't follow predictable game theory models. The display shifted to show a human game called chess, alongside biometric data from players. This simple strategy game reveals much about them. Unlike our species, which typically calculate the optimal move based on clear win conditions, humans frequently make suboptimal moves to confuse their opponents. They sacrifice valuable pieces for long-term advantage. They deliberately introduce chaos into ordered systems. The hierarch's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of growing agitation. What do you propose? Containment? I advise careful integration, hierarch. Containment would likely be perceived as a threat, potentially triggering the very transformation we wish to avoid. Instead, I recommend controlled technological exchange, cultural integration, and careful monitoring. The display shifted once more, showing the human solar system with a suggested deployment of conclave observation posts disguised as trading stations. And if they prove too unpredictable, too dangerous? The hierarch asked. Kilva hesitated before responding. The Strategic Planning Division has developed contingencies, but I must emphasize that direct conflict would be problematic. Explain. Our simulations suggest that an attempt to neutralize humanity would either succeed completely or fail catastrophically. There is virtually no middle ground. If we succeed, we eliminate a species with extraordinary potential for innovation. If we fail, the display showed a simulation of human ships, crewed by conclave standards, but armed with weapons reverse-engineered from conclave technology, spreading rapidly from their home system in all directions. If we fail, we may create exactly the threat we fear. A humanity that believes it faces extinction would likely become the most dangerous force the conclave has ever encountered. The hierarch contemplated this in silence, his exoskeleton slowly shifting to the pale yellow of resolution. Begin integration protocols, but implement maximum observation measures. I want to know everything about these humans. Their strengths, weaknesses, psychological patterns, everything. There's one more thing, Hierarch, Kilva added hesitantly. During the initial contact, Ambassador Thexalor followed protocol and presented the humans with a standard cultural exchange package containing basic information about the top 50 conclave species. And, within 6 local days, the humans had identified potential weaknesses in the biological, technological, and social systems of all 50 species. They presented this analysis to the ambassador as what they called constructive feedback. The Hierarch's exoskeleton briefly flashed crimson. They're already analyzing how to defeat us. They insisted it was meant to be helpful, identifying vulnerabilities so they could be addressed. Ambassador Thexalor believes they were sincere. Yet they immediately thought in terms of weaknesses to exploit, the Hierarch noted quietly. Yes, their analysts described it as thinking like a hacker, finding flaws not to exploit them, but to fix them before someone else does. The Hierarch rose from his crystalline throne, all 6 limbs extending to full posture, a rare gesture indicating the utmost seriousness. Begin integration, but with maximum caution, and assemble a high strategic council. We may be facing the most unusual species the Conclave has ever encountered. As the Hierarch departed, the holographic display shifted one last time to an image of Earth, small, blue, seemingly insignificant against the vast backdrop of space, yet now the focus of the most powerful governing body in the galaxy. In the darkness of space, unaware of the deliberations happening light years away, humanity continued its chaotic, unpredictable development, inventing, arguing, cooperating, competing, dreaming of the stars and what they might find there, never suspecting that what they found might fear them. The breaking point. Admiral Helena Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Resilience, Earth's first true interstellar battleship. Though battleship was perhaps too generous a term by Conclave standards. The Resilience had been hastily retrofitted from a colony transport, its hull reinforced with reverse-engineered Conclave alloys, and armed with weapons systems that were, at best, educated guesses at how advanced alien technology might work. Status report, Chen demanded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display where 3 Vex carry cruisers maintained position just outside the Jupiter defensive perimeter. They're still refusing communication, Admiral, Lieutenant Park reported from the communication station. They've been in formation for 17 hours without movement or response. Chen nodded, unsurprised. The Vex carry, a militaristic splinter faction of the Conclave, had made their opinions of humanity quite clear in the 4 years since first contact. Unlike the more diplomatic Central Conclave, the Vex carry saw no value in primitive species joining the galactic community and the negotiation team. Ambassador Reyes is still attempting to establish contact through Conclave diplomatic channels. No response yet. Chen tapped her fingers on the command console, a habit from her days as a concert pianist before the first contact crisis had pushed her into naval service. The rhythm helped her think, processing multiple scenarios simultaneously. They're testing us, she finally said, addressing her executive officer, Commander Okafor. The Vex carry don't understand why the Conclave considers us a potential threat. They see our technology, our physical limitations, and calculate that we're insignificant. Yet they send 3 heavy cruisers to make that point, Okafor observed dryly. Seems excessive for an insignificant species. Chen smiled thinly. The Conclave intelligence reports suggest the Vex carry leadership is divided on the human question. This is likely a faction trying to prove we're not worth the Conclave's concern. The tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Santos, looked up from his station. Admiral, we're detecting energy buildup in the lead Vex carry vessel, consistent with weapons systems powering up. Chen didn't hesitate. Battle stations. Deploy defensive drones. Activate countermeasures. But do not, repeat, do not power our weapons systems. The bridge erupted into controlled activity as officers relayed orders and systems came online. The Resilience might be outmatched technologically, But Chen had no intention of giving the Vex Carry the satisfaction of seeing humans panic. "Admiral," Okafor questioned quietly, "isn't powering countermeasures without weapons a bit like putting up your dukes with no intention to throw a punch?" "Exactly, Commander," Chen replied, still tapping her rhythm on the console. "We show them we're prepared, but not aggressive. The Vex Carry understand displays of force. Let's show them we're not intimidated, but also not foolish enough to fire first." On the tactical display, hundreds of small defensive drones deployed from the Resilience, forming a complex, shifting pattern between the human ship and the alien cruisers. The drones, each no larger than a coffee table, were humanity's response to their technological disadvantage. Swarms of simple, expendable units designed to intercept, deflect, or absorb enemy fire. Vex Carry energy readings continuing to climb, Santos reported. "They're definitely charging weapons." "Maintain position," Chen ordered calmly. "Let them make the first move." The standoff continued for several tense minutes. Then, without warning, the lead Vex Carry cruiser fired, not at the Resilience, but at Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, where humanity had established its first off-Earth colony. "Intercept," Chen shouted, but it was unnecessary. The defense system's AI had already redirected a cluster of drones into the path of the energy beam. The drones, sacrificing themselves, absorbed and dispersed the energy in a spectacular flash that temporarily blinded the Resilience's sensors. "Drone Cluster 7 destroyed," Santos reported. "But Europa is untouched. The Vex Carry are recalibrating weapons." Chen's fingers stopped their rhythmic tapping. "They fired on a civilian colony, not us. Civilians." Her voice was cold, controlled, but anyone who knew her could sense the shift in her demeanor. "Open a direct channel to the Vex Carry flagship. All frequencies, maximum amplitude." "Channel open, Admiral." Chen stood, straightening her uniform. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of Earth's entire military command. "Vex Carry vessels, this is Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Ship Resilience. You have fired upon a civilian settlement in direct violation of Conclave non-aggression protocols. Cease hostile actions immediately and withdraw from this system, or we will be forced to respond." There was a long pause before the communication system crackled to life. The view screen filled with the image of a Vex Carry commander, an imposing figure with metallic blue exoskeletal plates and cybernetic enhancements where eyes would be on a human vessel. The alien's translator produced a synthetic approximation of human speech. "Your presence in space is an affront to the natural order. Your species bypassed millennia of proper developmental stages through luck and stolen technology. We simply accelerate the inevitable correction of this evolutionary mistake." As the Vex Carry spoke, the tactical display showed the other two cruisers moving into attack positions, energy readings spiking across all three vessels. "They're preparing a coordinated attack," Santos warned. Chen never took her eyes off the Vex Carry commander. "I'll ask once more. Withdraw your vessels. Your defensive capabilities are impressive for primitives," the Vex Carry acknowledged, "but ultimately futile. Accept your species' proper place in the hierarchy, or extinction." Chen nodded, as if the Vex Carry had confirmed something she already knew. "Commander, you've made a critical error in your assessment of humanity." "And what error is that, human?" "You believe we think like you." Chen's voice remained calm, almost conversational. "You believe we calculate strength based on technological superiority and firepower. You're wrong." She turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Park, activate the ODYSACUS protocol. Authorization, Chen Zulu 97 Echo." "ODYSACUS protocol activated, Admiral," Park confirmed after entering the command sequence. Nothing seemed to happen for several seconds. The Vex Carry commander's expression, insofar as humans could read alien expressions, appeared contemptuous. "Your bluffs are as primitive as your technology, human. Prepare to." The commander's transmission cut off abruptly as all three Vex Carry vessels suddenly went dark, weapons, propulsion, and life support systems shutting down simultaneously. "What did you do?" Okafor asked, staring in disbelief at the tactical display. "Something very human, Commander," Chen replied, returning to her seat. "For the past 4 years, every piece of cultural exchange technology we received from the Conclave has been systematically studied, reverse-engineered, and, most importantly, tested for vulnerabilities." On the display, the Vex carry ships drifted helplessly, emergency systems barely keeping them functional. The ODYSCUS protocol is a digital virus designed specifically for Conclave ship architecture, Chen continued. "It was delivered weeks ago through the seemingly innocent cultural exchange, updates the Conclave regularly sends to all member and provisional member species. The virus remained dormant until activated." "But how?" Santos asked. "The Conclave's cybersecurity is generations beyond ours, because they think linearly," Chen explained. "Their security systems are designed to detect logical threats, programs that follow expected patterns of attack. Our virus doesn't behave like malware should. It mimics natural system fluctuations, creating patterns that look like normal entropy. By the time their systems recognized it as artificial, it was too late." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, supposedly the technological inferior, had just neutralized 3 advanced warships without firing a shot. "Admiral," Park broke the silence, "we're receiving an emergency transmission from the Conclave Central Command. Priority Alpha." "On screen," Chen ordered. The view screen shifted to show Supreme Hierarch Zex Troll, his exoskeleton pulsing with bands of alarmed crimson and violet. "Admiral Chen," the Hierarch began without preamble, "we have detected an unauthorized military action against Conclave vessels in your system. Explain immediately." Chen met the alien leader's gaze steadily. "Hierarch, the Vex carry vessels fired upon our civilian settlement on Europa. We defended ourselves using minimal necessary force. Their crews are unharmed, though their vessels are currently incapacitated." "Impossible," the Hierarch dismissed. "Our reports indicate no weapons fire from your vessel." "Correct. We disabled their ships using a system intrusion, not kinetic weapons." The Hierarch's colors shifted rapidly, a sign of agitation or disbelief. "You claim to have neutralized 3 Vex-carry battle cruisers through digital means, without advanced quantum computing or neural network technology." "We used what we had," Chen replied simply. "Creativity, lateral thinking, and a willingness to try approaches your engineers considered impossible or illogical." There was a long pause as the Hierarch conferred with advisors off-screen. When he returned his attention to Chen, his colors had stabilized to a deep, concerned blue. "Admiral Chen, the Conclave apologizes for the unauthorized aggression of the Vex-carry faction. Their actions violated our most sacred principles of First Contact Protocol." However, his tone shifted subtly. "Your response raises significant concerns. Concerns that humanity might not be as technologically primitive as you believed," Chen suggested. "Concerns that humanity represents a fundamentally different type of intelligence than we have encountered before," the Hierarch corrected. "The Vex-carry believed you primitive because you lacked their technological achievements. They were wrong, but not in the way they expected." The Hierarch's next words came carefully, measured. "Admiral, the Conclave requests an immediate diplomatic summit. This incident has altered our assessment of humanity's position in the galactic community." Chen nodded. "We would welcome such a summit, Hierarch, and as a gesture of good faith, I will provide your ships the deactivation sequence for the ODYSCUS protocol. The Vex-carry vessels will regain full functionality. You would surrender such a tactical advantage." The Hierarch's confusion was evident even through the translator. "We never wanted an advantage, Hierarch. We wanted respect and security. Perhaps now we can discuss our place in the Conclave as equals, not as primitives to be tolerated or eliminated." As the communication ended, Commander Okafor approached Chen's station. "Do you think they understand now?" What makes us dangerous? Chen shook her head slightly. No, they're still looking for the wrong thing. They think it's our technology or our tactics that make us a threat. They don't understand that our greatest weapon has always been our minds, our ability to think differently, to find solutions where others see only problems. She turned to look at the now disabled Vex-carry ships on the tactical display. They expected us to fight like them, to measure strength against strength, technology against technology. Instead, we changed the rules of engagement entirely. And that's what scares them, Okafor concluded. Yes, Chen agreed quietly. Because if we can do this as newcomers to their galaxy, with borrowed and reverse-engineered technology, imagine what humanity might become given time and real cooperation. The Resilience maintained its position as Conclave rescue ships approached the disabled Vex-carry cruisers. On the bridge, Admiral Chen resumed her rhythmic tapping on the console, already thinking about the diplomatic summit to come. And the new future humanity would forge among the stars. A future where the galaxy's most physically unimposing species had just demonstrated why they might indeed be the most dangerous. Reluctant respect. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Conclave stretched across an artificial asteroid positioned at the gravitational nexus of 7 major space lanes. Its curved walls, composed of living crystal that adjusted transparency based on the proceedings, currently displayed the vast starfield beyond, a reminder to all present of what was at stake. Supreme Hierarch Zex Troll occupied the central position on the raised dais, surrounded by representatives from the Conclave's 13 founding species. Below them, arranged in concentric rings according to their species' tenure in the Conclave, sat delegates from over 300 worlds. At the very edge, in a position typically reserved for provisional members, sat the human delegation. Despite their position, they commanded the attention of every being in the chamber. Ambassador Elena Reyes, flanked by Admiral Chen, and Dr. Marcus Wei, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, faced the assembly with the composed confidence that had become humanity's diplomatic signature. This emergency session of the Galactic Conclave is now convened, the Hierarch announced, his voice resonating through the chamber. We gather to address the incident in the Sol system and its implications for galactic stability. The Hierarch's exoskeleton shifted to formal diplomatic patterns of blue and gold as he continued. For those not yet briefed, 3 cycles ago, vessels from the Vex-carry faction engaged in unauthorized aggression against human settlements. The human response, he paused, choosing his words carefully, was unexpected and has prompted a formal reassessment of humanity's status within the galactic community. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as delegates conferred with their advisors. The Vex-carry delegation, reduced in number and prominence following the incident, maintained rigid stillness, a sign of extreme shame in their culture. Before we proceed, the Hierarch continued, I invite Ambassador Reyes to address the assembly regarding the human perspective on these events. Ambassador Reyes stood, her simple Earth formal attire a stark contrast to the elaborate biosuits and ceremonial exoskeletons surrounding her. At 53 Earth years, she carried herself with the quiet authority of someone who had guided humanity through first contact and 4 turbulent years of galactic politics. Thank you, Hierarch, Reyes began, her voice clear and measured. Distinguished delegates of the Conclave, I come before you today not to justify our actions, but to explain them, and more importantly, to propose a path forward that benefits all our civilizations. She gestured to the display that appeared before each delegate, showing footage from the Sol system incident. When the Vex-carry attacked our civilian settlement, we responded not out of anger or revenge, but from a principle fundamental to human civilization, the protection of our people. We chose a method that would neutralize the threat while preserving life, both human and Vex-carry. The chamber remained silent, every species watching with their own version of intense focus. Many of you are disturbed not by what we did, but by how we did it, Reyes continued. You wonder how a species with our limited technological development could disable advanced Conclave warships. The answer is simple yet difficult to grasp. We think differently. The ambassador paused, allowing her words to register across the various translation systems. Throughout our history, humans have faced limitations in resources, in physical strength, in natural defenses. We survived not by being the strongest or fastest species on our world, but by adapting and problem-solving in ways our competitors could not anticipate. This is our evolutionary advantage. The display shifted to show a montage of human history, cave paintings giving way to written language, simple tools evolving into complex machines, primitive boats transforming into space vessels. Where other species might approach a problem from a position of strength, applying more force, more resources, more conventional technology, humans look for the unexpected angle, the overlooked vulnerability, the creative solution no one else considered. Ambassador Rice gestured to Admiral Chen. When Admiral Chen faced 3 warships with superior firepower and defensive capabilities, she didn't attempt to match them in conventional combat. Instead, she applied human ingenuity to create an asymmetric advantage. This is not a new tactic for us. It's how we've survived our entire existence. The hierarch leaned forward slightly. Ambassador, while your explanation is informative, it does not address the central concern of this assembly. Your species demonstrated capabilities that, by our assessment models, should have been centuries beyond your development stage. This suggests you have been less than transparent about your technological advancement. Rice smiled slightly. With respect, hierarch, we haven't hidden our capabilities. You simply didn't recognize them because you were looking for the wrong things. Dr. Wei stood now, activating his own display. If I may elaborate, he offered. The hierarch nodded permission. Distinguished delegates, I've spent the past 4 years studying conclave species and technology. What I've observed is that galactic technological development follows remarkably consistent patterns across all member species. Wei's display showed a linear progression of technological milestones common to conclave civilizations. Your species developed methodically, mastering one technology before moving to the next logical step. This approach has produced magnificent achievements, stable, refined technologies that function reliably for millennia. Wei's display shifted to show human technological development, a jagged, unpredictable line with sudden leaps forward and occasional steps backward. Humans, by contrast, develop chaotically. We pursue multiple technological paths simultaneously. We combine incompatible systems in ways that shouldn't work, but sometimes do. We leapfrog developmental stages when necessity demands it. The xenobiologist highlighted several examples: crude rocketry achieving orbital flight, digital computing emerging before complete understanding of quantum mechanics, genetic engineering advancing alongside still developing biochemistry. What you perceive as advanced capacity is actually improvisation. Combining the fragments of conclave technology we've been permitted to access with our own unconventional approaches. The ODUACUS protocol wasn't a super-advanced cyber weapon. It was a creative application of basic principles your security systems weren't designed to detect, because no conclave species would approach security breaches in such an illogical manner. A delegate from the Morrigan Collective, a hive consciousness species, activated their communication node. This unpredictability you describe as an advantage. We consider it a fundamental danger to galactic stability. The conclave has maintained peace for 12,000 cycles through predictable, measured development and clear understanding of each species' capabilities. Admiral Chen stood now, her military bearing commanding attention even among aliens many times her size. With respect, delegate, predictability is only an advantage in a stable environment. The universe is not stable. It is chaotic, dangerous, and filled with unknowns. Her voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to making life or death decisions. The conclave has created an artificial bubble of stability within the chaos, an impressive achievement. But what happens when that bubble encounters something truly unknown? Something that doesn't follow your established patterns? Chen's words hung in the chamber, creating a tension that even the non-empathic species could sense. Admiral Chen references a theoretical scenario, the hierarch stated, breaking the silence. Not theoretical, hierarch, Chen corrected firmly. Inevitable. The galaxy is vast, and the universe vaster still. The assumption that all intelligent life will follow development patterns similar to conclave species is statistically improbable. This statement caused visible discomfort among many delegates. The conclave's foundation rested on the principle that intelligent life, regardless of biology, followed predictable evolutionary and technological trajectories. Ambassador Reyes stepped forward again. What Admiral Chen suggests is that humanity's different approach to problem-solving isn't a threat to the conclave, it's a potential asset. We see patterns you might miss. We consider solutions you might not explore due to established conventions. We adapt rapidly to changing circumstances. The hierarch's colors shifted thoughtfully. You propose that humanity's chaotic thinking could benefit the established order. I propose that diversity of thought strengthens any community. That Xanfar's light patterns intensified. Perhaps a species that thinks differently could help identify such blind spots before they become crises. The chamber erupted into controlled chaos as delegates debated this perspective. The hierarch allowed the discussion to continue for several minutes before raising all 6 limbs for silence. Ambassador Reyes, he addressed the human. Your species has demonstrated both concerning capabilities and intriguing potential. The conclave must carefully consider humanity's future role among our civilization. We understand, hierarch, Reyes acknowledged. But while you deliberate, I would like to make a proposal that might demonstrate humanity's value as a partner rather than a problem. The hierarch inclined his upper body slightly, the equivalent of a nod. Proceed. The conclave has mentioned 3 major crises in its history. We request access to the historical records of these events, not the classified tactical details, but the basic information available to all member species. In return, our analysts will provide fresh perspectives on these historical challenges and potential strategies should similar threats emerge in the future. A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. It was an audacious request, asking for information while humanity's status remained uncertain, but also a clever demonstration of exactly what Reyes claimed humans could offer, a different way of thinking about old problems. The hierarch conferred briefly with the Council of 13, their communication methods imperceptible to human senses. After several tense moments, he addressed the chamber. The human proposal is unorthodox, yet it provides an opportunity to test their claims in a controlled manner. His exoskeleton shifted to formal decision patterns. We will grant provisional access to the historical records Ambassador Reyes has requested. The human analysis will be evaluated by the Strategic Assessment Committee. Ambassador Reyes bowed slightly. Thank you, hierarch. We will begin immediately. 3 weeks later, the conclave reconvened. The chamber's usual formal atmosphere had been replaced by a tension that even the most stoic species couldn't disguise. At the center of the chamber, Dr. Wei stood beside a holographic display, concluding his presentation. And so, based on our analysis of the quantum cascade event, we believe the phenomenon wasn't actually a natural occurrence as previously concluded, but rather Yet perhaps this challenge is precisely what our civilization requires. The humans have identified potential blind spots in our thinking, perspectives we could not see precisely because of our orderly, logical approach to the universe. Ambassador Reyes stood now. Hierarch, distinguished delegates, humanity doesn't seek to disrupt the conclave's order. We ask only for the opportunity to contribute our unique perspective, to add another tool to your civilization's impressive array. Not a hammer, but perhaps something you haven't yet considered necessary. And what guarantee do we have, the Vexcari representative demanded, that this unique perspective won't one day turn against the conclave? That the same creativity that disabled our vessels won't be applied to more destructive ends? Reyes smiled slightly. The same guarantee you have with any species, none but our word and our actions. But consider this. Had we wished to demonstrate aggression, we could have destroyed your vessels rather than temporarily disabling them. We chose restraint. Admiral Chen stepped forward again. The Vex carry raise a valid concern. Humanity's capacity for creative problem-solving has been applied to warfare throughout our history, often with devastating results. We don't deny our potential for destruction. An uncomfortable silence fell across the chamber. But, Chen continued, the same creativity that makes us dangerous also makes us capable of profound compassion, cooperation, and growth. We've struggled with our dual nature throughout our history. Our greatest achievements have come not from conflict, but from collaboration, from combining diverse perspectives to solve seemingly insurmountable problems. Dr. Y activated a new display showing human artistic, scientific, and humanitarian achievements. For every weapon we've created, we've developed thousands of tools for healing, understanding, and connection. Our greatest minds have consistently turned away from destruction toward creation. The hierarch regarded the humans thoughtfully. You acknowledge your capacity for both great creation and great destruction. This self-awareness is uncommon among emerging species. It comes from hard-won experience, hierarch Rise explained. Our history has taught us the price of unchecked aggression, the value of cooperation, and the necessity of balance. The hierarch rose to his full height, a gesture of formal declaration. The Council of 13 has reached consensus. Humanity will be granted full membership in the Galactic Conclave, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. A murmur of surprise rippled through the chamber. Direct advancement from provisional to full membership was unprecedented. However, the hierarch continued, this membership comes with conditions. Human technological development will proceed under conclave guidance. Knowledge exchange will be carefully managed. And humanity will establish a permanent advisory council to provide their unique perspective on conclave strategic planning. Ambassador Rice bowed deeply. We accept these terms with gratitude and understanding, hierarch. There is one final matter, the hierarch added. The ODYSCUS protocol. As a gesture of good faith, we request that humanity share this technology with the Conclave Security Division to strengthen our collective defenses. A tense silence fell over the human delegation. Admiral Chen and Ambassador Rice exchanged glances. With respect, hierarch, Chen responded carefully. The protocol was designed specifically for the unique architecture of conclave systems. Sharing it would effectively give the conclave a weapon against itself. You refuse our request. The hierarch's colors shifted with concern. Not exactly, Chen clarified. Instead, we propose a joint security initiative. Human and conclave engineers working together to develop new security protocols that incorporate both our approaches. Rather than sharing a single tool, we offer partnership in building something better. The hierarch considered this proposal, his exoskeleton slowly shifting back to diplomatic blue and gold. Your counterproposal demonstrates both wisdom and the very perspective we seek to incorporate. The conclave accepts. As the formal proceedings concluded and the delegates dispersed, Ambassador Rice found herself approached by the Xanthar representative, their light patterns shifting in what the translation system identified as an expression of private communication. Ambassador, the ancient species communicated, you should know that not all within the conclave were surprised by humanity's capabilities. Some of us have long suspected that true intelligence manifests in many forms across the universe, some orderly, some chaotic, all valuable. Rice smiled. Then we have more allies than we realized. Indeed, the conclave has maintained peace for 12,000 cycles because it adapts, slowly, perhaps, by human standards, but it adapts nonetheless. Today's decision may seem revolutionary, but in time, it will be seen as simply another step in our collective evolution. That Xanthar's lights pulsed once more. You asked what makes humans the galaxy's most dangerous species. The answer is not your unpredictability or your creativity in isolation. It is that you possess these qualities alongside empathy, restraint, and the wisdom to know when each is needed. As the Xanthar departed, Reyes rejoined her colleagues, who were already deep in discussion about the future. Admiral Chen was sketching plans for the Joint Security Initiative, while Dr. Wei eagerly prepared for unprecedented scientific exchange. Beyond the Grand Council chamber, news of humanity's elevation spread throughout conclave space. Some species reacted with alarm, others with curiosity, a few with enthusiasm for the new perspectives humans might bring. None could deny, however, that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Humanity, physically unimposing, technologically developing, evolutionarily unremarkable in most respects, had earned its place among the stars not through dominance or conquest, but through the unique power of thinking differently. In the vastness of space, where countless civilizations had risen and fallen following predictable patterns, humanity's greatest strength proved to be its unpredictability, its capacity to see what others missed, to try what others dismissed, to imagine what others could not conceive. And in a universe of infinite possibilities, imagination might indeed be the most dangerous and valuable power of all.